Hello there, Middle Earth Strategy Battle Game fans. Jason here, and we are back with the 7th edition of our Army Review series. And I have with me again Dan
What up, guys?
and Joe.
How's it going?
So today we're back on good after finishing up with the Aslov's Legion review last time. And we're going to be doing another Hobbit book, Army, kind of just keeping with the theme and going along with it. And we're going to be doing the survivors of Laketown. So Dan is kind of our resident expert. Dan, you've played Laketown at what, 3 events now?
Yeah, 2 events and probably 12 practice games.
Yeah, so you've got about 20 or so games under your belt because one of the events was a 4-rounder, the other was 3, so pretty close to 20 games, I'd say, playing with Laketown.
Yes, quite a few games, and they are a lot of fun, so I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah. Well, as such, I'm going to let Dan go ahead and take the lead on this, and Joe and I will just chime in with our thoughts since he is our resident expert playing with them. So, Dan, take it away, my pro.
Alright, guys, let's go ahead and get started with the only troop choice for Laketown. The survivors of Laketown. And that would be the Warriors of Laketown, the survivors. So they're a Laketown Militia. They are movement 6, fight 2, shoot on a 4-up, strength 3, defense 4, 1 attack, 1 wound, and courage 3. They come with armor and a sword or an axe. They can take a bow, a shield, or a spear. And then they have a special rule. Laketown Militia that are within 3 inches of a friendly Laketown hero model who is in combat do not need to make a courage test while broken. I actually didn't know that. I forgot about that.
That's a really good rule.
Yeah, it is a good rule.
I don't think I ever realized they had that either.
Yeah, that's definitely something that would keep your guys in the fight. I don't think when we've play tested, I don't think we've ever done that.
I mean, it is a little situational. You want to lose priority in that situation and have your heroes charged. But I mean, if you think about it, if you've got enough heroes on the field, hopefully you've got enough heroes on the field. I mean, this army has a plethora of them. You've got a good chance of, the majority of your models not having to take courage chests. So yeah, your stand fast is negated, but if you've got 3 or 4 good heroes, let's be honest, if you're broken, you don't have too many models left anyway. So they're going to be near their heroes, their leaders. But yeah, that's a really good one. Dan, you're killing us, man. How have you forgotten this in all these games?
I don't know. I just Well, here's the thing about Laketown, guys, and you'll see as we keep going through the profiles, is the army is very synergized. If that's a word.
Synergetic, yeah.
Synergetic. Everything is works together, and everybody gives each other buffs. And when this army first came out, it came out before the Middle Earth brand. It came out when the Hobbit rules were still going on, and it kind of showed us a glimpse. I know I've said this before. It showed us a glimpse of what was to come, in terms of how armies work together. So it does that very well.
It kind of reminds me of another army I reviewed back at the beginning when I started this, and that's fiefdoms. Because, like Dan's saying, we'll get to these other guys, but they all kind of the troop, if you pay attention to that, is very poor. Fight 2, yuck. Defense 4. Although they're not really wearing anything other than some ratty clothing, so it is cool that they get to be defense 4.
Yeah,
I think that's always been a point of contention for most players.
Yeah, when you talk about like having 55 models in a list, which I've had before, an 800-point game, defense 5 is really all you need. I mean, getting a 5 is hard enough. It's hard to get down a dice roll sometimes, and just having these guys who you kill one guy a turn or whatever, and then you're like, okay, well, I still have 54 to go, and there's really, I don't think if I've gotten broken, I've gotten broken a few times, but it's a very rare instance that this army's ever broken.
I remember I broke you one time because I ran over half your army with my Iron Hills Chariot.
Yes.
And then the second game we played, my Iron Hills Chariot couldn't run over one guy, and then you bogged it down, and I don't think I killed 12 guys the entire game.
Yeah. Yeah, that was one game. I think that I'm trying to be generous. I think that there was a couple other. You know what? I was thinking about my tournament games. Okay, I think I was broken against Chad when he was playing Horde Mordor, so he was able to match my numbers a little bit better.
Yeah, I remember that one. I think that was to the death scenario for round or something like that.
But that game came down to the wire. It really came within the last couple of turns of who was going to win. Anyway,
well, that troop is pretty versatile. It can do almost anything.
Yeah.
You really only need one.
All right, so let's go ahead and just look at this, guys. Keep this in mind. In their war gear, it says they have a sword or an axe.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
So, I got axes for all my guys. Little axes you can glue on or whatever. And every model in my army who can have an axe has one. Which is awesome because, then you're talking about strength 4 militia. If you want the strength 4.
That could be really good against a defense 6 army,
Exactly. I mean, depending on who I'm versing.
Yeah, it's good against defense 6 stuff too. Anything defense 6 or defense 4.
Yeah, and even if you're
or 8, even 8, meaning 6s instead of 6s by 4s.
That's true. That's very true. So an Iron Hill shield wall is now maybe a little bit easier to crack.
Yeah, and I have a lot more guys, so I can start surrounding.
Exactly. You can surround them and trap them.
But that's probably one of the biggest things with the militia. The other biggest thing is probably just all the buffs that the heroes give them.
Oh yeah, we'll get to all.
Yeah, we'll get to all those. So I guess I'll go backwards, kind of like how we did for the Azog's Legion review, and we'll save the best for last.
Just talk about this no-name captain.
Yeah, this Laketown Militia Captain, 40 points. Well, they are movement 6, fight 3, shooting on 4 up, strength 4, defense 5, 2 attacks, 2 wounds, courage 4, 2 might, 1 will, 1 fate. They have armor, a pick, and a spear. They can heroic march, and they can take a shield option. The thing with this army is that they have so many cheap heroes that you could take that you almost don't need a captain. The only reason why I would take a captain is the heroic march option.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think anybody else in the army can give you that.
No, I think you're right. I think that he's the only one who knows march. And there's no cav in this army because the Laketown Militia is the only troop choice. So unless you're allying some guys in, a captain might be worth taking. I've thought about taking a captain before, but generally I like the hero choices I take. So.
Well, you do ally a little bit of something to help.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. I started allying the Iron Hills Chariot with this army, and it gives me a lot of knockout power and that movement that I need.
Yep.
So, other than that, he's a generic captain. I mean, he's nothing special. I would take him for the march.
I think it's cool that he actually comes with a spear, though, so he could be in a position where you could actually spear support with him.
Yeah.
I don't know why you would ever want to, because, you're buffing your fight 2 warriors with a fight 3 captain but he also has a pick.
Yeah, he has a pick.
That's the other one that can do piercing strike, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, so he could get the strength 5 potentially.
He could. I mean, that's true. He could get to strength 5 with 2 attacks.
That could be useful.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. All right, moving on down. All right, my favorite. This is my favorite, probably model and profile in the army. Bilbo Baggins, Master Burglar. He's movement 4, fight 3, strength 2, defense 6, 1 attack, 2 wounds, courage 6, 3 wounds, 3 will, 3 fate. He comes with the One Ring, which is huge because I believe he's third tier. He's third in line for the ring. So if somebody else has the ring, guys, if you've never read up on the ring, there's a list of heroes who can take the ring and then who has priority over who would have it at the time. And I believe it's Sauron, Isildur, and then young Bilbo. So
yeah, you're right.
So that's pretty big if somebody else is taking a ring, which we'll talk about the ring. That's going to bring a whole different subject to this army. He comes with the Mithril Coat and Sting. The Mithril Coat gives you +3 to your defense. So instead of his defense 3, which is normal Hobbit, he's defense 6, which is included in the profile that I just listed. Sting gives you +1 to your strength while making strikes, and it's also an elvish made dagger, so you get the bonus for your dual rolls.
For roll-offs.
Yeah,
that's big.
Let's see. His heroic actions is heroic resolve, heroic strike, and heroic defense. He is resistant to magic. He throws stones at range of 8 inches, strength 1. And this is probably his best rule right here, guys. It has not awakened. Bilbo Master Burglar ignores the Sauron's Will section of the One Ring rules. Furthermore, if Bilbo is the only model left on the controlling player's side and is wearing the ring, he is not removed as casually as would usually be the case. So he pretty much ignores all the negative rules for having the ring, which is huge.
Yeah, that's really big because if you're not familiar, the ring, when you put it on, you become invisible. Obviously, you can move through any profile, any model, as long as you do not injure movement inside the model's base. So that's pretty cool. You can go through one of these. I think he's got the movement 4 inches. You could go through like the base of the Gundabad troll. Pretty sure those are smaller 4 inches. You are invisible, so you can't be targeted by magical powers or spells or anything like that. And to charge, you have to pass a courage test. To charge Bilbo, you have to pass a courage test with -1 per inch that you are away. I mean, that's just more just so you can see him. So the downsides, like Dane was saying, is Sauron's Will, and that's at the beginning of the move phase, you roll a dice on a 1 or 2, your opponent gets to control your model. So ignoring that gives you all the benefits of having the ring, which, oh, by the way, it also halves your opponent's fight value rounding down in combat. And then normally, if a model wearing the ring is the last one on the board, then he's removed as a casualty, which would mean the game is over. So I don't think you're ever probably going to have Bilbo as the last model on the board.
No, probably not.
Deal, yeah, considering that like your big hero bard can be fight 6, and you can have someone's. So like, if someone's a fight value 7, like which is a pretty sturdy fight value.
Yep.
You can turn someone's fight value 7
to 3
into is it 3 or 4? I think it's 4.
3 because 3? It's half rounding down.
Oh, round downs. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so I mean that rounds down in the game.
So that, and guys, I can tell you time and time again, my when I versed Laketown, so we did quite a few practice games, just me and Dan, and I can tell you when my Emerhill becomes fight 3 and I strike, and the highest I can ever get is fight 5. Because if you get up to fight 10, then it has to down to fight 5. So that means he's automatically going to win the fight with Bard.
Yep.
And it's pretty good. It's
a really good combo.
Yeah, it's one of the best tricks for the army.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and again, the fact that in the list of preference for who has the ring, he is third, like we were saying. There's very few models that can get it above him, with those being Isildur and Sauron. And honestly, you see Isildur now. We've seen a few Last Alliance and Numenor armies at this last event that I hosted. But for the most part, you don't see it, and you don't see Sauron.
No.
So Goblin Town is actually more popular than either of those two armies, those models. So the fact that a lot of people try and take Goblin Town and shoehorn in Smeagol to give the Goblin King the same advantage as Joe was just saying that you get with Bard. Now you have taken that. So now Golem is nothing more than a 20 to 30 point model, I think, with 1 point of might, 1 point of will, 1 point of fate, something like that. So he's pretty much just useless, and that's really good.
Yeah, having Bilbo kind of just going around following Bard, being all buddy is just probably one of the best combo. I mean, it's the first glimpse, guys, of how this army works. Together, they just help each other out. They buff each other and pull off some really good combos. And like Joe was saying, I've had a lot of practice games, and generally when Bilbo and Bard charge a model, it's night.
Yeah, you're winning.
I mean,
I can say that for a fact.
I mean,
unless you roll really bad, but for the most part,
yeah,
you've got two heroes then too, with potentially 9 points of might, which we'll get to later.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
and like
plus Bilbo is relatively sturdy. He's like what, defense 6?
Oh yeah, he's defense 6, 3 will,
And
3. He's 2 wounds. I mean,
it's hard to charge him because you can just pop the ring on first turn and just play the rest of the game with the ring on him being invisible. And I think that's actually something I don't know if you've taken advantage of it, Dan. Is the fact you got to remember you can move through bases. You can move through models.
Yeah, so, that's a big deal, and that's something I don't really do as much, but it is something that you can do.
So it's almost like the ogre from Azog's Legion. Yeah, I'm just gonna move right through you.
Well, and you gotta remember, guys, that Bilbo is also a fortitude, so he can lead 12 guys. I forgot to mention that before. But yeah, he's a really solid pick. One of my favorite. I would say probably my favorite part of my Laketown army. Just
I agree.
Just the tool that he offers. I mean, he's never let me down. Matter of fact,
I would say he's a must-take. Even in like a 600-point army, you would have to take him just because of the fact that he's a 3/3/3 across the board when it comes to Might Will Fate. That's invaluable.
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, if you compare him to the Bilbo Baggins in the, I believe it's the Thorns Company profile.
Bilbo.
Well, if you compare this one to Thorns Company, then he's actually better in this version. Hold on a second, I'll find it here. I think he has one more fate with the yeah, here he is. He has one more might if he's a member of the Laketown. But he's
kind of coming to his own.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the Mithril cloak by that point.
And the One Ring is free with this profile, but yeah, I mean he's just a better.
No, you don't have to, but yeah.
He's just a better pick, and I would say, like Jason said, he's a must take.
You're building 6. At least you're playing low, like 400, maybe not, but 600 points. I think you have to take him. And like Dan said, he is a fortitude, so he's going to be able to take 12 guys.
And yeah, he's never let me down. He's there to help out Bard. He does that, and he also stays alive, holds objectives, and just kind of messes around with other heroes. I mean, your fight two, if you're within the range of Bard, which we'll talk about later, your fight 3 guys could start out fighting other heroes if Bilbo's in base contact with them.
Yeah. Start fighting elves.
Yeah, which I've done. I've done that before. So
combats.
Yeah, he's just a good pick. But moving on, we'll go to the Percy. Percy is another hero of fortitude. Movement 6, fight 3, strength 4, defense 4, attack 2 attacks, 2 wounds, and courage 4. Through might, 1 will, 1 fate. So he's a 3/1/1. Has a sword and a bow. His heroic actions are heroic accuracy. His special rule is Percy, a Laketown militia within 6 inches, may reroll 1s to hit when making shooting attacks with a bow. So that's a pretty good rule. He has a bow, so he can shoot.
And 3 points of might.
And 3 points of might. So this is, we're starting to get some of the bread and butter of Laketown. So generally, because of the number of models you can take with Laketown, you can also take a fair amount of bows. And so
you usually have about 12 to 15.
Yeah, so it depends on how many points we're doing, but generally I can take about it depends on how many warbands, but generally about 4 in each warband, so 12 or 14, 15, somewhere around there. And having Percy be able to sit in the middle of a gun line and just give everybody that special rule helps with the accuracy of the Laketown guys. I mean,
yeah, they're a little inaccurate at 4-ups, but if you can reroll 1s, you're increasing your shot percentage from 50 to closer to 56, 57%. And that's nothing to laugh at,
Yep.
Yeah, they're only strength 2 bows, but you never know. Strength 2 bows can do some damage, as Joe found out.
They can, and it's definitely one of those quantity over quality things. And
it's like the same premise as my hobbits. Back before they got short bows, those strength 2 bows, you got some at 24-inch range. You can definitely make your opponent come to you, especially if you're versing someone that doesn't have any bows or doesn't.
Hobbits were the original Ithilien Ranger, Legendary Legion.
Yeah, back in the heyday.
They're just heyday. Because of the fact they could spam, like Joe said, they could spam so many.
But your guys are relatively cheap with a bow. I mean,
they're pretty. They can be. Yeah. So Percy's a good pick. I normally take Percy with my Laketown. I take Percy and Bilbo for sure. Generally for sure. I mean, we have some room to play with here as we keep going down the list. Just Percy helps once again. He gives a buff to the troops with their bows, so he makes them a little more accurate, which kind of mitigates some of that inaccuracy. You gotta keep in mind, guys, with the profile for the militias, they are considered militia, so they're not going to be trained, seasoned veterans of Osgiliath.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to be Fountain Court guards who've probably been training their whole life. So these guys are fishermen.
Well, that's why they're so cheap, yeah. Well, I mean, if you think about it, you could take a whole warband of guys with bows for less than 80 points. So
yeah,
that's nothing. When you're talking about, I mean, we're kind of trending towards 750, 800 being kind of the current meta for events and just local play. So when you're talking about being able to grab 12 guys for under 80 points, and your heroes are pretty darn cheap, as we've seen so far, you got one big hero in Bard who we'll get to later. But for the most part, you can really spam and really get in there. So that's why Dan's saying he's able to put 4 or 5 in warband. He'll have at least 4 warbands. So he's looking at least 12 to 20 potentially guys with bows. Because we played one game and you had like 70 something models. It was ridiculous.
I think the most I've ever taken, because I actually ran out of models. I don't have that many. I think it's like 64.
Okay. 67 sounds familiar now that you say that. Yeah. You might have had 67, but I don't remember what we were playing at. I think 850. But it was a lot of guys.
Because that was before I started taking the chariot. And so I was just taking a lot of guys. So once again, Percy's rule just helps out, make your militia a little bit better, and then you start being able to contend a little bit better with other armies, like in terms of shooting. Like you can start possibly out shooting rangers, kind of. I guess.
Well, if you have Gandalf in the army, yes.
Yeah, which we'll get to him.
It's just another synergy thing.
Yeah.
So you've got one person who's going to help you by halving fight values in Bilbo. Now you've got another person who's going to be helping you reroll ones to shoot. And then the next person, Hilda, is giving you +1 to wound.
Yeah, I think she has a very useful rule. So Hilda Bianca is another hero of fortitude, which there's no shortages of in this army. She is movement 6, only 2 for her fight value. Shoots on a 4-up. Defense 3, which is 1 attack, 2 wounds, courage 5, which is pretty good. That's better than Percy.
Really
yeah, that's better than Percy. 1 might, 1 will, 1 fate. She has a spear in her profile, and she has heroic strength. And her special rule is stand by our men. Was that song, Stand by Your Man? If Hilda Bianca charges, then during the ensuing fight phase, Hilda Bianca and Laketown Militia within 3 inches of her gain a bonus of +1 to wound if they charged that turn. Well, that's pretty dang good.
Yeah, I didn't realize she had a spear.
Yeah, she has a spear sometimes. So here's the thing about her spear. If you use her as spear support, then you don't really get a charge off on anybody. You're just letting your fight. So you're not really benefiting from her rule, I guess.
No, I mean, I guess you could use your 1 point of might to do heroic strength. But I guess the way I would see it is you would keep her in your back line. This is my thought for playing it. I haven't played Laketown. But my thought would be keep her, kind of hidden in the second ring of guys because you're going to have enough guys, maybe even the third, because she is such a low defense at only 3. And when you get charged, I mean, you're a horde army. You don't care if you get charged first. When a couple guys fall, you can use her 1 point of might to call a heroic movement, and that's when you can get her to charge and get that 3-inch, 6-inch diameter, 3-inch bubble going there with the +1 to wound. I mean, that could be if you can get her on a flank where she can really move around. That's where you can hide her 3 deep, about 2 or 3 in on your line, and then let your line get charged, and then charge the next turn using the heroic movement if need be. And this is the reason why I say put her on a flank, because if you lose priority, you're going to want to charge with her. So you're probably going to call a heroic with her, and then probably another heroic with one of your other heroes in another area of the battlefield. So your opponent's most likely going to counter you, and then it'll come down to a roll-off. So they're going to, if they were to win that roll-off, they would probably end up charging, say, like Bard.
Yeah, they'd want to charge him first.
Yeah, cancel that. Well, then Hilda's still going to be able to get to go then, where you would then be able to get that +1 in the charges with everybody. So that's my thought on how maybe the way to strategize to play her, because you got a horde army, so you're going to have your heroes kind of spread out.
Yeah, having her.
And you're already talking about being able to piercing strike with your militia.
Yeah.
So let's just say you're out fighting. Let's just say you charge shield wall with a Moran orcs. You pick your fights. Let's just say you try and outnumber where you can.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get Hilda in. Then you can start piercing striking, probably winning the fights because you're outnumbering them in any given area.
Yep.
And then you're wounding Moran and orcs who were defense 6 on 4s instead of 6s.
Yeah, that's really good.
Strike, and then you get +1 to wound.
Yeah, that's really good. Or I mean, you could even go a step farther and do like you were talking about earlier. If you charge a Iron Hill shield wall and piercing strike, well, now you're strength 4 against defense 8, so you're winning on 6s with the +1 to wound. You're winning on 5, so that could be a really good turn of potentially devastating an opponent's line. So, just my thought for a strategy on how to use her.
Yeah, having her anchored down. I've done that a couple of times where she kind of anchors down a flank. Because you got your big baddies in the middle generally, so having her in the flank and kind of helping push along that flank. Because sometimes your flank can get overwhelmed, or it doesn't have enough support where it isn't able to do a strong enough sweep across.
Yeah.
And so keeping a hero there generally helps out, and having her there is good because then she actually buffs your troops and gives him that
Having
kind of.
having her and maybe like a captain, for example, on one flank. I mean, the captain doesn't get the +1 wound bonus, but that would give you a couple more points of might and somebody with, you know, I would assume you would give him a shield and make him defense 6. So a cheap guy that could help get another few. You know, their fortitudes to say you don't max out the war bands. Each one's leading 8 to 10 troops, and you're talking 2 heroes with 20 support units, and you could just plug and play those heroes as need be. You know.
Yeah.
So another play you could do is if you do have that captain, would be to save her 1 point of might and use the captain, one of the captain's 2 points of might to do the movement instead. And then if you're going into something big, I don't know, a troll, maybe an ogre, and then you could use her 1 point of might for heroic strength instead. So she'd get +1 to wound and potentially be strength 6.
Yep. Yeah, it's pretty solid. I mean, needing 5s to win like a defense 7 troll.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or the ogres, which are strength 5, or I'm sorry, defense 5. So
yeah.
you'd be wounding them on 3s.
Yes.
Yeah, she's only got 1 attack, but I mean,
she's cheap enough where I think just her special rule is worth it.
Yeah, especially because she's so cheap.
Yeah.
I mean, taking her, you would lose 5 militia, but I think if you could get if you could use her special rule to get you maybe 4 or 5 kills a game, you make up those 6 militia easily. Especially if you're playing an army where the average point is 9 or 10 models.
True. Yeah, definitely. So next up is Bane, son of Bard.
Yay, Bard's kids.
Yeah, Bard's kids. So he is movement 6, 3 up fight, 4 up shoot value, strength 3, defense 3, 1 attack, 2 wounds, courage 4, 1 might, 3 will, 2 fate. He comes with a sword. His heroic actions are heroic strike, which is pretty good. And his special rule is family bond. Bane, son of Bard, is within 6 inches of Bard the Bowman. He gains a bonus of +1 to his courage value, which is pretty solid. Then you're talking about Elven Courage of 5.
Yeah.
And
he's got 3 points of will, which is crazy good.
Yeah. So I don't want to spoil anything too hard here, but he also benefits from some of the girls' special rules. And so when you were talking about having Hilda pair it with a captain, he actually came to mind as being somebody who would be pretty solid being paired up with Hilda.
Yeah, there you go.
Because he's also cheap. He has a might point, and he potentially has a free heroic combat every turn with the girls, which we'll go into.
Yeah.
So that means that you could push, if you charge in like him and Hilda, you could get even further into a line and give that 3-inch bubble. Let me reread this. Hilda Bianca and Laketown Militia within 3 inches gain. Yeah, so it didn't say like at the beginning of the turn, just if they're within 3 inches. So that means that you could push even further into a shield wall with Bane and Hilda on like a flank. And then more militia would benefit from it, potentially. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I get what you're going for.
So yeah, I think that he's I rarely take Bane just because there's so many other heroes. I have thought about taking him before just because he benefits from the 2 girls, but I rarely take him. I mean, he's a fairly solid profile. But he doesn't give the troops like any bonus. He receives a bonus if he's within Bard, but I'd rather take Hilda, who's like more comparable in points, and get her +1 to wound.
I think I could see him maybe potentially being useful in a 1,000-point event because of the fact that, and maybe not even that. The only thing that I'd really see him being used for, he's not like, since I compared him earlier to fiefdoms, he's not like the similar character because what's his name? Aingbor the Fearless has pretty much a similar profile in regards to might, will, and fate. His might is 2 instead of 1 like Bane's is. But I just lost my train of thought. Okay, sorry. Angmor has a special bonus that buffs the troops, whereas Bane doesn't do that. But with 3 points of will, he could potentially be an AOE spell canceller. So
Yeah,
like a
that's true.
Nature's Wrath or something like that. We don't really see a lot of those now because of the new FAQ that's brought those down from 6 inches to 3. That would probably be pretty much my only reason for taking him, other than like you were talking about earlier, he could bonus off of having being around the girls. But with only 1 attack, he's not likely to really succeed in a one-on-one combat against a lot of things, especially since he's only strength 3.
It's true. I mean, he like it's kind of a hit. I could see him as a hit or miss. I have taken him before, and he died. I think we were playing. Joe, what game? I took him against you, and I think we were playing like Fog of War. But he died. He died fairly easily. I wasn't able to really see what he could do. He is kind of squishy, only being defense 3. And also, one thing to point out is he is a minor hero. So he's only leading.
So he's not even leading a lot of troops. Yeah.
But I mean, he is a cool model, and the synergy he has with the 2 girls is cool. But I'd rather take like a Hilda or Percy. I mean, both of them are comparable in points to him. So.
Yeah, Hilda's cheaper, and I think she gives more to the army than he does.
Yeah.
I think, especially when we start talking about some of the allies that you could take with Laketown, I think that the 40 points, honestly, I think the 40 points could be spent in other places.
Yeah.
Unless you were dead set on playing pure Laketown. Survivors of Laketown, sorry.
Yeah. So moving on, the 2 girls, Sigrid and Tilda, they are a absolutely must take in my opinion. They just buff up Bard. They're Bard. They're pretty much, think of them as Bard upgrades. They're upgrades you give
make
Bard
a lot better.
Yeah, they're upgrades you give Bard that actually add to your model count. So that's another thing to think about. So let's go to Sigrid. They're both independent heroes. So I normally put mine. I think they have to be. I think it says somewhere in here that they have to be in Bard's Warband. Alright, Sigrid is movement 6, fight 2, shoot on a 4-up, strength 2, defense 2, 1 attack, 1 wound, courage 4, 0 might, 1 will, 2 fate. Tilda is the exact same, except she's only courage 3.
And fight 1.
And yeah, she's fight 1, so...
Big sister's better at fighting little sister.
Yeah. Sigrid and Tilda are unarmed. So you pretty much don't want them in combat.
No.
It's pretty much...
Their next 3 right beneath their profiles is what you were talking about. They can only be taken in Bards or Bane's Warband.
Yeah. Dad down here. And, alright, here we go. Bard the Bowman and Bane, son of Bard, receive a bonus of +1 of their fight value if they are within 6 inches of either Sigrid or Tilda. If Bard or Bane, son of Bard, are within 6 inches of Sigrid and Tilda, Bard and or Bane receive a bonus of +1 to the fight value and may call a heroic combat each turn without spending might. So that was the rule I was talking about, where she actually kind of makes Bane a little bit better. He can start calling free heroic combats, so he can hold on to his might. And he also becomes fight 4, which isn't bad. But we'll talk about Bard here in a second, but I want to keep going with them, because we're gonna include all these rules and stuff we're reading now when we're talking about Bard, with some of the stuff he can do. Something to fight for. If either Sigrid or Tilda are slain, Bard the Bowman will automatically pass all courage tests. Additionally, when Bard moves, he must charge the maul that killed the daughter if possible. If this is not possible, Bard must move as close as possible to the maul that killed his daughter. Once the maul has killed his daughter... once the maul is killed, Once the Maul that killed his daughter has been slain, Bard must move as fast as possible towards the nearest visible enemy Maul for the rest of the game, charging if possible. It is possible for 2 Mauls to be targeted by Bard's Rage. If both Sigrid and Tilda have been slain, in this case, Bard will target the closest of the 2 enemy Mauls until it has been slain, following which he will immediately target the second Maul. Once both Mauls have been slain, Bard must continue to move as fast as possible towards the nearest visible enemy model for the rest of the game, charging if possible. So that kind of echoes the old Elvish twins, Eladin and Elrihir, their rage rule. And I think Aemir, one of the Aemir profiles had something like that.
Yeah, Aemir.
They get back to him. Yeah, if Théoden or Éowyn dies.
Yeah, then he has to charge. He has to go after the killer. Then yeah.
So, pretty much, guys, you want to try to keep the girls alive. You don't want Bard going crazy. You need him being sound of mind.
So, actually, looking at their rule, because I know one of the biggest things. So, your army depends on Bard in terms of for his banner, for his steadfast, all that. So, hypothetically, if a catapult or a archer kills one of the girls, then he's gonna have to run off a ridiculous. Because you can kill one of the girls with a bowman, and then literally leave your bowman standing on your deployment side, and just let Bard run by your army, run by it just to kill that guy.
I mean, I would do even one better and just start running it into a corner. Bard will maybe eventually catch you, but if you're starting from 24 inches away and say you're shooting from, maybe 10 inches in the middle of the board, you can run to the far corner, whichever one you pick, and that's just even farther Bard has to go. So you could really hamstring somebody that way.
That's one of them things where them girls, you really gotta defend them. And I think things like Gandalf with Blinding Light and stuff help because they're a juicy target. The thing about this army is, whenever I versed it, I want to try. So I have there's so many threats in terms of heroes you want to kill. You want to take Bard off his horse.
Mm-hmm.
You want to take Gandalf off his horse. You want to try and contain Bilbo, which at that point he'll have the ring on, so it doesn't really matter. Then you get the girls. You're I can try and take care of Bard by killing the girls, but then there's 5 in the way. There's Militia. Then you got the numbers that you're versing the horde of guys. You want to try and contain that. So that's one of the things where you can keep them pretty safe from. I mean, one lucky shot of the catapult though could ruin your day.
Yeah,
I will say that in the multitude of games that I played against Dan with the girls, because he usually takes them, which I think is smart. I think if you take Bard, you kind of have to, because he gets a free heroic combat, and then he gets a free. He's +1 to his fight value, and that's what gives him fight 6. So, spoiler for that. But if it is hard, I've found it hard again. I've only killed him once. And that was actually against you, Joe. So it wasn't even Dan I killed him in. It was against you recently.
Yeah.
And every other game, because it's a horde army, you could really bubble wrap them. I mean, if there's if you've got a, a siege engine, there is the chance to get that lucky hit and then the 6 on the scatter to hit it dead on. I haven't had it happen yet. But like you said, Joe, that's a good way to cancel it out is with using Blinding Light from Gandalf, which you can take in this list as well, which is just another tool.
Yeah.
So now, albeit he is an expensive one, so you really have to decide on what you want to take. At 700 or 750, it's kind of hard to get, Bilbo, Bard, the girls, and Gandalf all in a list and still be able to get a decent amount of numbers, because this is a horde army. You need the numbers. If you're going into, I would say if you're going into a 700 point event and you've got less than 50 models, you are failing the whole point of this army.
Yeah.
That's just me personally, I think.
Yeah, it's pretty much just taking as many models as you can and slamming them into somebody.
Yeah.
And once again, I want to point out one thing. We were talking about the Defense 5 militia. Well, the Numenorian guys are also Defense 5.
This is very true.
So I mean,
although they had better shields, they didn't have wicker baskets.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know why. I mean, Laketown, their Defense 5 is awesome. I'm not gonna lie to you. Anyway.
Well, I think that's just another thing that we touched on in the last video with the. I mean, we haven't done Halls of Thranduil, but Joe, you brought it up. You're like, why isn't Thranduil Fight 7? Well, I'm pretty sure Thranduil is Fight 7. So the two big orcs, Azog and Bull, being Fight 7, I mean, you could maybe even say that's something like, oh, these wicker basket wielding guys with overcoats are Defense 5.
Yeah.
Oh, no. It was it wasn't Thranduil, it was Legolas.
Oh, did you say Legolas? Okay.
Yeah, he used to be.
There was the Megalith profile where he was
Megalith,
Fight 7.
yeah.
But
the Battle of Five Armies.
I think that there's like a lot of people who think, because honestly, it's not necessarily like the current ME SBG team. It's not necessarily their fault, because actually this was a thing when the Battle of Five Armies came out, the Battle of Five Armies supplement came out, and it was in a white dwarf. You had to buy a white dwarf to get it.
They actually did make a hard copy. I have it.
But it was attached to the white dwarf. I have it too, or I had it. I don't know if I still do.
Mine's not attached to a white book. Mine's an actual book.
But that's when
you
saw
too.
That's when you saw like it was a quote unquote power creep, because pretty much all the Battle of Five Armies stuff. Now, granted, in the movie, there's like a lot of crazy stuff going on in terms of monsters and like stuff, but I think most people think there's kind of a power creep in terms of, so like, you compare Lord of the Rings era profiles and you compare Hobbit era profiles. The Hobbit era stuff just seems to be better in terms of point
really did.
Point for
point
stat
cost
ratio.
Yeah.
Because like, for instance, you compare, so I've taught this before, you compare a Hobbit militia to a Laketown militia. A Hobbit militia is 1 point less. Granted, the Hobbit militia does have throw stones and does have resistance to magic. I'm going to keep that in mind. But for 1 point more, you're gaining a point of strength, point of fight, 2 points of movement, point of defense. That's a lot of. Militia or fight 1. Hobbit militia.
Are they?
Yeah.
Oh, militia. Sorry, I'm thinking sheriffs. My apologies.
No, Hobbit sheriffs are the same point cost. So it's kind of one of those things where I don't think, and then plus you get the onward men's of Esgaroth rule. So, but I think in terms of that quote unquote power creep, I think it was real, but it's not necessarily their fault.
No. Well, I mean, we've talked about it before. There was kind of that quote unquote dark age too, between the end, like 2007 to 2000, and what the Hobbit trilogy came out in 12, 13, 14. So there was kind of that middle area there where there wasn't really a lot, and it was good when the Hobbit movies did come out, because that's when we got all those little blue book supplements to upgrade all the profiles. We moved from the big blue book to all the individual source books for the different armies.
Yeah.
And I think that the team at the time for the Hobbit SBG team saw that the game was coming back. And I mean, I'm not going to lie, I put the game down in 2008 and I didn't pick it up again until December 2014 after the Battle of Five Armies finished. And at that time, I was stationed in Norfolk, and I picked the game up and tried to go to a local games workshop. And every time I walked in there, the guy just wanted to try and sell me Warhammer. And so for 3 years, I didn't have anybody to play with. All I did was collect models, watch YouTube videos from the DCHL and the GBHL, mostly the GBHL, and paint. So I feel like they kind of just took that power creep and used it to market it. Like, look how good these models are now. You can go smash the old stuff.
And at the time,
it sold.
Yeah, honestly, I bought
a lot of Iron Hills armies were out there in those first 3 or 4 years.
There are a lot of Iron Hills armies. I bought Thranduil's Halls, and like when the Battle of Five Armies book supplement came out in that White Dwarf, I bought I bought all the Hobbit stuff just because it was so much better than like Desolation. You compared it like the Desolation of Smaug stuff was pretty much standard. But then like Thranduil from Desolation of Smaug into the Hobbit stuff was like fight 7, 3 attack. He had that he could have been a horse. He didn't have an elk at the time. That was when Tablet came out. But it's one of those things. But Laketown's always been the same in terms of Bard's Foliage Banner. Now, granted, I think when the There and Back Again came out, so when you really saw like the army shine in terms of they added the kids, they added Hilda, Percy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it is funny to compare the old stuff to the new stuff.
Yeah.
And I won't lie, I still think Numenor is still way better than Survivors of Laketown. I'll take Numenor any day.
That would be an interesting matchup.
Maybe we'll get it soon.
Yeah, I think that
wink, wink.
I think that the two big heroes would. I'd be scared about sending Bard in against them. But I would like to, before we go to Bard, I would like to point out one thing. So in the I would like to read the army bonus, and I'd also like to read the army composition. So this army
we got 2 more profiles other than Bard to hit too.
Yeah. I would like to hit the 2 other ones before we hit him. So this army may include Bard the Bowman, Percy, who we've covered, Alfred the Counselor, who we have not covered. He's really good. Bane, Sigrid and Tilda, Hilda Bianca, Gandalf the Grey, who we have not covered as well. Bilbo Baggins, Master Burglar, Laketown Captain, Laketown Militia. And then both the profiles for Gandalf the Grey and for Alfred are here in the Hobbit Armies of the Hobbit book. And let me read their army bonus real quick before we go to this profiles.
I didn't realize you could take Laketown Guard Captains. I guess that makes sense, though.
I actually never realized that either. Huh.
Well, I will amend my prior statement and say that instead of taking a Laketown Militia Captain, you should take a Laketown Guard Captain.
Yeah, because they're a little bit better.
They're the same exact stat line, only switch 1 point of courage, 1 point of fight. So they're fight 4 bases, and they're only courage 3, whereas the militias fight 3, courage 4, and their cost the same. Personally, I'd rather take the Laketown.
Yeah, I'd rather have that higher fight.
Yeah.
So the army, the army bonus is any man who wants to give their last follow me. Bard the Bowman Steadfast will affect other Laketown heroes, which I forgot about, actually. That's pretty solid.
Come on, bro.
Bard the Bowman's Survivors of Laketown special rule has its range increased from 12 inches instead of 6. So
that's the one where he...
Yeah, he gives you like plus 1 in your fight, and he counts as a banner. So that army bonus,
banner's huge.
Yeah, I would definitely say that army bonus is a must take. I mean, there's no reason for you to take any other ally except for green allies of this army.
Well, I mean, you got to look at who they can ally with too. They can ally with Airborne Reclaim, Thranduil's Halls, and the Iron Hills. So it's completely thematic who they're green. Well, they can ally with more, but those are their green allies. And I mean, any one of those 3. I don't know about Airborne Reclaim so much. Yeah, Airborne Reclaim too, because you could take
Thorn on you could take Thorn or Dwalin on Ram or on a
and you can take the Iron Hills Ballista with Airborne Reclaim, but you can take the Chariot with Airborne Reclaim.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's something that you've done a few times. Is you've taken the Iron Hills Chariot from the Iron Hills list, and I think that's a great way to mitigate one of the weaknesses of your list. Is the fact that other than Bard and maybe Gandalf, you're only moving 6 inches. So getting that in there, moving 8, and then on a March 11, kind of helps give you that. Hey, I can get to you quickly. You better watch out.
Yeah,
that you need.
And also gives me that much more shooting and just knockout power, which is crazy. So Alfred can be found in the Laketown. He can be found in the Army of Laketown section, and he is movement 6, fight 3, shoots on a 4-up, strength 3, defense 3, 1 attack, 1 wound, courage 3, 0 might, 3 will, 1 fate. Alfred the Counselor is unarmed. Dubious Counsel. Alfred may choose to expend any number of will points at the start of the priority phase. Before the dice are rolled, for each point of will he expends, nominate a single friendly Laketown hero within 6 inches and roll a d6. For each roll of a 2+, the nominated Laketown hero gains a point of might. On the roll of a 1, however, the nominated Laketown hero instead loses a point of might, and Alfred gains a point of might. Might gained in this way can take the chosen Laketown hero's model's store of might points beyond the initial level. So, once again, I think Alfred, I would say Alfred's a must-take.
I agree.
Especially if you're taking Bard. You just normally stick...
Well, you're obviously taking Bard.
Yeah, you're obviously take a Bard. Just the fact that you can give Bard 6 might at the start of the game is crazy.
Well, Bard's a hero ledger too, so Alfred is, if he comes independent, so you put him right into his warband.
Yeah.
But you don't always give you don't always give the hero 6 points of might, right, Joe?
Yeah, no, that's definitely a thing, guys. I mean, sometimes it can screw you. It can screw Bard for sure if Alfred starts taking his might away. But there is a way to kind of mitigate that. I'll talk about my strategy with that in a second. But I would like to say this. Generally, we were talking about the girls earlier and how we can protect the girls. Well, I normally use Alfred as their designated bodyguard. So what happens is I deploy my warband. I have I have Alfred in range of Bard. Give Bard the might, and then keep Alfred in front of the girls the rest of the time. So anybody shooting has to shoot through Alfred. If there's a siege engine, keep Alfred however many inches away for the scatter.
Yeah, you can
whether
scatter
it be
him, so
whether it be 6 or 3. So stuff like that. I mean, Alfred becomes my kind of designated, and he has a point of fate just in case he takes a wound. But yeah, he's generally my designated bodyguard. Yeah,
right, Joe?
Yeah, exactly.
Right, Joe? Joe had an unfortunate game recently where he rolled a 1, and a 3 for the dubious council. So he had Alfred running around with 2 points of might. Bard only had 2.
Unfortunate.
It was very unfortunate.
Gandalf.
I just want to point. I want to point out one thing for this profile real quick, and call me crazy, but how is a guy who gets eaten by an ogre fight 3?
That's a good point. I always kind of thought he was fight 2 until I just read that. He should be fight 1, frankly, because he never fights. He is unarmed, so I mean, that kind of sucks.
Fight 3.
Yeah, but I mean, generally, and Alfred's kind of a worm anyway, so.
That is very true.
Maybe in one of our next Champions of Middle Earth, we should do Alfred versus Grima. Or Alfred versus the Worm.
That's funny.
I actually think Alfred would win because he has fate, does he not?
Yeah, he has 1 fate.
Yeah, he has 1 point of fate, yeah.
Grima does not. Neither does the Worm.
How much does Grima cost? 25 points?
Yeah.
Well, Alfred's only 20, so So yeah, Alfred, once again, you're just buffing your big hero with Alfred. And you also think of Alfred as an upgrade, but he's also adding to your model count. That's kind of how I view those 3 models, Sigrid, Tilda, and Alfred. Alfred,
give you 3 more.
Yeah, Alfred can screw you, but generally he helps. I would say 5 times out of 6.
Joe was the first time when we had our game that I'd seen it not work. I'll be honest. It's the only time I've seen it where he hasn't. It hasn't been, 2.
Of course, it was the first time I ever play tested that combo.
Left you with a bitter taste.
Yeah, it's a little bit. But no, I think it's solid. Honestly, that's any freak accident can happen. Like that.
That's true.
Any freak
So,
dice roll.
the last profile before we get to Bard is Gandalf.
Gandalf, and I think he's a Valor, if I'm not mistaken.
He is.
Yeah, he's a Valor. All right, so
yeah.
Gandalf, he's fight 5. Gandalf the Grey. Gandalf the Grey. Fight 5, movement 6, strength 4, defense 5, 1 attack, courage 7, 3 wounds, 3 might, 6 will, 3 fate. He has a staff of power, which gives him a recurring will. He has Glambering and Narya. Let's see. Glambering pretty much gives Gandalf +1 to his strength.
Are you saying Glambering?
Glandering.
Okay. I must be hearing stuff.
Gandalf and then his ring gives Gandalf the ability to re-roll failed fate rolls. So
it doesn't say fate rolls; it just says fate, and that's something I just realized. You could technically re-roll.
Oh, you could re-roll fate.
Yeah.
Pass.
Yeah, if you really wanted him to die and he's taking wounds, you could. I mean, you don't always have to spend fate either, but
yeah, that's true.
That's interesting.
That's true. I didn't notice either. So looking at it,
the wording of things,
Yeah, and